March 2015, somewhere in Kentucky. An elderly woman sits at her kitchen table when her phone rings. The caller ID shows a Washington, D.C. area code, official looking. Ma'am, this is Agent Bradford from the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. Our records show you owe $3,720 in back taxes. If you don't pay immediately, we're issuing a warrant for your arrest within the hour. Her hands shake. She's 68 years old. The thought of police at her door, handcuffs, a federal court, it's overwhelming. I don't understand. I filed my taxes. I always file on time. Ma'am, our system shows otherwise, but I can help you resolve this right now. You need to go to your nearest Walmart immediately and wire the payment. Do you understand? You have 2 hours before the warrant is executed. 2 hours? Yes, ma'am. Go to Walmart. Use the Walmart to Walmart money transfer. Send it to our agent who will receive it in Arkansas. I'll give you the name, Natalie Moray. She's a deputy secretary of the U.S. Treasury Department. This is the only way to stop the arrest. Within 30 minutes, she's at Walmart. Her hands tremble as she fills out the wire transfer form. $3,720. Every dollar of her emergency savings. She sends it to Natalie Moray in Arkansas and provides the transaction number to the agent on the phone. You're all clear, ma'am. Thank you for your cooperation. She hangs up, relieved. The panic fades. But 3 days later, when her daughter helps her check her account, the truth hits like a hammer. The IRS never called. There is no Natalie Moray, and that $3,720 is gone forever. But here's what makes this story different. The person who picked up that money in Arkansas wasn't some faceless scammer in a distant call center. She was a 21-year-old woman named Jennifer Valerino Nunez, traveling in a black car with her boyfriend, using 20 different fake identities to collect over $1.3 million from more than 1,050 victims across the United States. And the man coordinating the entire operation from Florida, supplying fake IDs, recruiting runners, and organizing the systematic theft of nearly $9 million from 7,000 Americans? His name is Yosvany Padilla, a 27-year-old Cuban immigrant who turned fear into a fortune. This is the story of the most sophisticated IRS impersonation scheme ever prosecuted in federal court. And it all started with a simple realization. Americans are more afraid of the IRS than almost anything else. 1987, Cuba. Yosvany Padilla is born into a country where survival means working the system. Food is rationed, opportunities are scarce, everyone learns early. The rules are flexible if you know how to bend them. By age 17, Yosvany's family sees no future in Cuba. They apply for permanent U.S. residency through refugee programs. In 2004, when Yosvany is just 17 years old, the Padilla family boards a plane to Miami. Freedom, opportunity, the American dream. They settle in Hialeah, Florida, a Cuban enclave where Spanish is the first language and hustle is the currency. Yosvany takes English classes. He works construction jobs. He watches his parents struggle to make rent. The American dream looks a lot like the Cuban reality. Work hard, earn little, stay invisible. But Yosvany has ambition, and he notices something about Americans that Cubans don't have. They're afraid of their own government. Specifically, they're terrified of the Internal Revenue Service. In Cuba, the government controls everything openly. In America, the IRS operates through paperwork, threats, and the promise of consequences. Yosvany realizes that fear is currency, and if you can manufacture that fear convincingly enough, people will pay anything to make it go away. By 2014, Yosvany isn't working construction anymore. He's studying the IRS impersonation scams making headlines across the country. Call centers in India are stealing millions using the same basic script. Call, threaten, demand immediate payment. The victims never see it coming. But Yosvany sees a flaw in their system. The Indian call centers rely on runners in the United States to collect the money. Random people they recruit off the street. No organization, no reliability. And when those runners get caught, the whole operation crumbles. Yosvany decides he can do it better. He won't outsource the collection. He'll build his own team. People he knows. People he can control. People who understand that loyalty means profit and betrayal means consequences. March 2015, Hialeah, Florida. Yosvany Padilla sits at a kitchen table with 3 people. Dennis Delgado Caballero, 39, who will become his top runner. Jennifer Valerino Nunez, 21. Caballero's girlfriend, who's desperate for money, and Angel Chapotin Carrillo, 43, a Cuban immigrant who's been in Miami long enough to know every Walmart and MoneyGram location in the Southeast. Yosvany lays out the plan. The call centers overseas do the calls. They're already set up. They have the scripts. They have the phone numbers. We don't touch that part. Our job, he continues, is collection. When victims send money, we pick it up. Fast. Clean. No mistakes. He slides a stack of IDs across the table. Florida driver's licenses, Texas IDs, California licenses. Every single one is fake. Every single one has a different name. Walmart to Walmart is perfect, Yosvany explains. You don't need real ID, just a name and address. We use these aliases: Natalie Murray, Ismail Horton, Patricia Chen. The victims send money to these names. You walk into Walmart, show the fake ID, pick up the cash, move to the next location. Caballero asks the obvious question. What if they catch us? Yosvany smiles. They won't. We never use the same name twice in the same city. We rotate locations. And we move fast. You pick up the money within an hour of the wire transfer. By the time anyone notices, you're 3 states away. The operation is simple, elegant, and devastating. Here's how it works. Step 1. Overseas call centers make the calls. They use voice-over internet protocol technology to spoof caller IDs, making it appear calls originate from Washington, D.C. or IRS offices. The callers follow scripts designed to trigger maximum panic. You owe back taxes. You will be arrested within 2 hours. You will face federal prosecution. Your bank accounts will be frozen. The only way to resolve this immediately is to wire payment to our agent. Step 2. Victims go to Walmart. The scammers specifically direct them to use Walmart to Walmart money transfer because it's the least secure. Unlike MoneyGram, which requires government-issued ID and receipts, Walmart to Walmart only requires a name, address, and the transaction number. Perfect for anonymous collection. Step 3. Padilla's runners spring into action. The moment a victim wires money, the overseas callers send the transaction details to Yosvany. He coordinates which runner goes where. Caballero might hit 3 Arkansas Walmarts in one day. Nunez travels to Virginia, Maryland, and Pennsylvania in a single week. Carrillo once collected 19 wire transfers in one day across Arkansas using the same alias, Ismail Horton. Step 4. The runners send the cash back to Padilla in Florida. Sometimes bulk cash drops hidden in packages. Sometimes deposits into bank accounts Padilla controls. Yosvany takes his cut and pays the runners. Everyone profits, and the victims never see their money again. Between March 2015 and May 2016, this operation functions like a machine. Smooth, efficient, ruthless. But there's a problem. The victims are real people, and their stories are devastating. A retired teacher in Ohio loses $12,000, her entire emergency fund. She doesn't sleep for weeks. She stops answering her phone. She considers suicide. A veteran in Idaho wires $8,500 after being told there's a warrant for his arrest. He's never owed taxes in his life. It's money saved for his daughter's college tuition. Gone. An elderly couple in Arkansas send $15,000 after a caller threatens to seize their house. The money was supposed to cover medical bills. Now they're facing bankruptcy. Every single victim believes they're dealing with the real IRS. The caller IDs look official. The threats sound legitimate. The urgency feels real. And by the time they realize it's a scam, their money is in Yosvany Padilla's pocket. Over 14 months, Padilla's network steals nearly $9 million. The conspiracy involves 10 people operating across 29 states. They victimize approximately 7,000 Americans. And for over a year, nobody stops them. But then someone makes a mistake. December 2015, a Walmart in Russellville, Arkansas. Jennifer Valerino Nunez walks up to the customer service counter, posing as Natalie Murray, Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Treasury Department. She's there to collect $3,720 wired from Kentucky. The Walmart employee processes the transaction, hands over the cash. Nunez walks out. Standard operation. But this time, the victim in Kentucky doesn't wait. He immediately calls the real IRS to confirm the payment. The IRS tells him what he doesn't want to hear. Sir, we never called you. This is a scam. Within hours, he contacts the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, TIGTA, the federal agency responsible for investigating IRS impersonation scams. Investigators pull the Walmart surveillance footage from Arkansas. There she is, clear as day. A young woman in her early 20s collecting cash under a fake name. TIGTA agents run facial recognition, cross-reference with other fraud complaints. And suddenly, a pattern emerges. The same woman appears in surveillance footage from Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Always a different name. Always Walmart to Walmart. Always the same black car in the parking lot. And always the same man driving. Dennis Delgado Caballero. Federal investigators don't just have one fraud. They have hundreds. And they all connect to a network operating out of Florida. May 23, 2016. FBI agents and TIGTA investigators execute coordinated arrests in Miami. They hit multiple addresses simultaneously. Jennifer Valerino Nunez is arrested at her apartment. Dennis Delgado Caballero is taken into custody at a gas station. Both are charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud. During interrogations, neither one talks. They lawyer up immediately. But investigators don't need confessions. They have surveillance footage from dozens of Walmarts. They have wire transfer records. They have victim statements. The case is airtight. What they don't have yet is the person at the top. The person coordinating everything. The person supplying the fake IDs. That takes another year. April 2017, federal grand juries in Arkansas, Minnesota, Mississippi, and Texas hand up indictments. The charges span multiple districts because the fraud crossed state lines. The Arkansas indictment names 10 defendants, including the 2 already in custody. The lead defendant, Yosvany Padilla, 26 years old, Hialeah, Florida. Charges: conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Federal agents believe he's the mastermind coordinating the entire operation. April 26, 2017, FBI SWAT teams execute arrest warrants across Florida. 7 Cuban nationals are arrested simultaneously. Yosvany Padilla is at his Hialeah apartment when agents breach the door. He doesn't resist, doesn't run, just puts his hands up. Within hours, all 7 are in federal custody. One suspect, Lazaro Hernandez Fleitas, remains at large. He'll never be found. The evidence against Padilla is overwhelming. Investigators find fake ID production equipment in his apartment. Computers containing spreadsheets tracking wire transfers by state and alias. Bank records showing deposits from his runners. Phone records proving he coordinated every collection. Most damning. In August 2015, Padilla, Nunez, and Caballero traveled to Boston to train additional runners, teaching them the system, expanding the operation. Investigators have receipts, flight records, hotel bookings, everything. Padilla's attorney advises him there's no defense. The evidence is too strong. Cooperate or face decades in prison. January 3, 2018, Federal Courthouse, Little Rock, Arkansas. Yosvany Padilla stands before U.S. District Judge Billy Roy Wilson. He's been in custody since April 2017. His family sits in the gallery, crying. His attorney stands beside him, ready to enter a plea. Judge Wilson asks the critical question. Mr. Padilla, between March 2015 and May 2016, did you coordinate, produce, and distribute false identification documents to co-conspirators for the purpose of defrauding victims through an IRS impersonation scheme? Padilla, speaking through a translator, answers clearly. Yes, I'm guilty. Did you personally collect more than 200 wire transfers totaling over $200,000 from 120 victims? Yes. Do you understand that you are responsible for coordinating a conspiracy that stole nearly $9 million from approximately 7,000 victims? Yes. Judge Wilson accepts the guilty plea. Sentencing is set for October 2018. But before Padilla faces his sentence, his co-conspirators start falling. September 27, 2018. Dennis Delgado Caballero is sentenced to 72 months, 6 years, in federal prison and ordered to pay approximately $2.5 million in restitution. He collected more than $1.1 million from 950 different victims and recruited others into the scheme. October 23, 2018. Angel Chapatin Carrillo receives an identical sentence, 72 months, and $1.3 million in restitution. Investigators testified he used false identification to fly and drive across the country, sometimes collecting wire transfers from multiple states in a single day. Once, using the alias Ismail Horton, he collected 19 wire transfers in one day across Arkansas. Then comes Yosvany Padilla's turn. October 25, 2018. Federal Courthouse, Little Rock. The courtroom is packed. Victims have traveled from across the country to watch. The retired teacher from Ohio who lost $12,000. The veteran from Idaho. The elderly couple from Arkansas. They all want to see justice. Assistant U.S. Attorney Hunter Bridges presents the government's case. Your Honor, Mr. Padilla facilitated everyone else's role in this conspiracy. He wasn't at the very top of the global scheme. The overseas call centers operated independently, but he was the intermediary between the conspirators abroad and all the runners in the United States. He is the most culpable conspirator among the defendants indicted in this district. Federal sentencing guidelines recommend 108 to 135 months, 9 to 11 years. Padilla's attorney, Leslie Borgognoni, argues for leniency. Your Honor, my client came to this country from Cuba when he was 10 years old. His family sought a better life. He made terrible mistakes, but he wasn't at the very top of the hierarchy. Judge Wilson listens, then delivers his ruling. Mr. Padilla, I have read the victim impact statements. I have reviewed the evidence. I understand you came here seeking opportunity, but what you did was unconscionable. You exploited vulnerable people. You impersonated federal officials. You stole millions from thousands of victims who trusted their government. Federal guidelines recommend up to 135 months. I sentence you to the maximum, 135 months imprisonment, 11 years and 3 months, followed by 2 years of supervised release, and you will pay $9 million in restitution to your victims. Wilson pauses. I sincerely hope this sentence deters others. I wish I had a way of broadcasting it widely. He looks directly at Padilla. These criminals, including you, focused on vulnerable people, causing substantial financial hardships. In many cases, victims lost their life savings. Some contemplated suicide. Your actions had grave consequences. Padilla shows no emotion, just a slight nod. Later that same day, Judge Wilson sentences 2 more conspirators. Jennifer Valerino Nunez receives 47 months, just under 4 years, plus $2.5 million in restitution. The judge notes she was led astray by her boyfriend Caballero, but she still made many conscious decisions to collect over $1.3 million from more than 1,050 victims using 20 different aliases. Ezequiel Bravo Diaz, who had a smaller role, also receives 47 months for collecting $115,690 from 320 victims over a 2 to 3 week period. By the end of 2018, 5 members of the conspiracy have been sentenced. 3 more await sentencing. 1 remains a fugitive. The total damage, nearly $9 million stolen from approximately 7,000 victims across 29 states between March 2015 and May 2016. But here's the part that should terrify everyone. Yosvany Padilla's operation wasn't even the biggest IRS impersonation scam. It was just one branch of a global network. U.S. Attorney Cody Highland stated during the sentencing, people in Arkansas and many other states received and continue to receive telephone calls that are placed from call centers overseas, but claim to be made by U.S. government officials. The overseas call centers, still operating. TIG-TA estimates that between 2013 and 2018, more than $197 million in fraud payments were sent or received at Walmart stores alone, with possibly $1.3 billion in related payments connected to fraud schemes. In 2016, Indian police raided 9 call centers in Thane, India, arresting hundreds of workers. Those call centers were making $150,000 per day for over a year before being shut down. In 2021, the Justice Department sentenced 24 defendants in a separate India-based call center scam that stole over $10 million from U.S. victims between 2012 and 2016. The scam continues. The methods evolve. But the psychology remains the same. Americans fear the IRS, and criminals exploit that fear. Today, Yosvany Padilla is serving his 135-month sentence in federal prison. He's scheduled for release in 2029. He'll be deported to Cuba immediately upon release because his permanent residency was revoked following his conviction. His victims will never recover most of their money. The $9 million restitution order is symbolic. Padilla doesn't have $9 million. The money was spent, laundered, or sent overseas. Recovery is nearly impossible. But his case changed how federal investigators approach IRS impersonation scams. TIG-TA now coordinates with Walmart, MoneyGram, and Western Union to flag suspicious wire transfers in real time. Surveillance footage is immediately preserved. Patterns are tracked across state lines. The IRS now includes warnings on every tax form and website. We will never call and demand immediate payment. We will never threaten arrest over the phone. We will never request payment via wire transfer or gift cards. Yosvany Padilla proved you don't need sophisticated technology to steal millions. You just need fake IDs, a network of runners and victims who believe the person on the phone has power over their lives. And that's what makes this story so disturbing. A 27-year-old immigrant from Cuba, operating out of a Hialeah apartment, coordinated a multi-million-dollar fraud that reached into 29 states and destroyed thousands of lives. Not through hacking, not through violence, just through fear and a phone call. The man who turned panic into profit is now behind bars. But somewhere, right now, someone's phone is ringing. And on the other end, a voice is saying, "This is the IRS. You owe back taxes. If you don't pay immediately, we're issuing a warrant for your arrest." And someone, terrified and desperate, is heading to Walmart.